What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer taking a look at pure Generaider today. I've never done this before, but with the new wave of support, the deck finally kind of functions on its own, which is very good. I'm the first replay is against Rescue Ace, a new archetype that's coming out, and I think this is a really good replay because the way it seems like in Yu-Gi-Oh is trending, like your opponent's going to be playing on your first turn on some level. We saw that, obviously with Tier Lament. This is another archetype just like that. This deck punishes your opponent so much for that, and this card really brings it all together. The two new cards are insane. So basically, you get to non-targeting quick effect, which is fantastic. Basically, just grab two of your opponent's monsters, and not really much they can do about it. This is my turn one setup. So you obviously have cards like World Legacy Monstrosity. Being able to, it's like, I don't even know what you want to call this, like emergency teleport times 7. Like basically, it's so good. You can either do this, or you can go into Enter Bathnier and just take one of your opponent's cards out. So you're gonna have like all this interruption. They're only gonna have 5 cards to deal with it. So very good with field. Oh, and this is even better when these two come together. And these are old cards, but Harr is insane. Like, it's a very good card. It's an Omni-Negate that also forces your opponent to discard a monster or send a monster from their field to the graveyard. And when they search, you can force the search with Generaider, Boss of Eternity. So they're gonna have to draw a card. This is turn 1, right? Like, my opponent is being absolutely destroyed for playing during my turn. So he's going to draw a card. He's got to give me one, right? He's got to attach it to the Jormungandr Generaider, Boss of Eternity, and then he's going to have to discard one, so I'll take that, and you can go there. So my opponent's going to have 3 cards going into their turn. Like, how is that possible? It's not exactly a hand loop, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. I'm just going to go ahead and negate there. He's going to try to, I think, bring something back. I'm just going to say, okay, well, I have Effect Failure and a Banishment for your 2 cards. Do they do anything? No? Okay. Like, the duel is over now. That's great because, during my opponent's turn, I can actually just go into Bathnier, banish one of the cards in his hand that apparently isn't doing anything. And then I have the one that Monster Reborn's back from the graveyard. So every single time it comes back, brings back a buddy 9 with it, either from hand or graveyard. So you just have almost an endless loop of rank 9s, and the rank 9 pool is so good. It's actually kind of crazy. One is like Nadir Servant for no reason at all. And yeah, I mean, you can run Pot of Prosperity. I talked about Monstrosity, but Lone Fire Blossom obviously gets you there too, which is just really, really good. And maybe I should have, I don't know, I think it's fine to start with Pot of Prosperity as a potential way to bait out someone's Ash Blossom, because in this case I didn't need it like at all. But Lone Flyer into Lone Fire, this card's pretty funny. But it brings out any plant, doesn't have any level restrictions. So Boss of Light can come out. That's gonna search me Generaider Boss Stage, which is really good. And I can bring out 2. Right, getting Varr into rotation is very important. And I had Guard in my hand. Like I said, the deck didn't really function before the new support, which is fine. It's very exciting. Can't wait to pick up these cards in real life because they're very cheap. And hopefully, I'm assuming the new ones will be too. Okay, so White Knight of Dogmatic. So I run the Dogmatic engine in this deck. So, like I said, you can go into, Enter Bathnier. So your opponent only has 5 cards. Now, he has a 1 card in his entire deck that kind of outs the field spell right off the bat. But that's fine, right? Like, I haven't even used the Ritual spell yet. I haven't used the Banishment yet. And he only has 2 cards left. So, like, what is that doing? Now, if he goes into Skill Drain, it's, like, worse for him because my field spell is going to bring out bodies every single turn, which is really good, which is a very good thing. I don't know how I feel about, like, White Knight. It's a really good form of interruption, but it does lock you out of the extra deck, and the deck is kind of really focused on the extra deck now, which is really cool just because the new, rank 9 is, like, insane. It's just so good. Okay. And this is a showcase for the new, XYZ again. You can run a lot of hand traps. I think I run 9 clean hand traps, so don't need to run anything crazy. Like, look at that, 3 copies, nice. You don't have to run anything like Cross-Out Designator. It's just not really necessary. Everything's just kind of searchable and doesn't matter too much. Yeah, Super Polymerization. Like, I don't get to use Monstrosity, but Monstrosity is online next turn. It's a quick play spell for no reason. which is great. You know, definitely a good thing. So I can go ahead and set that card. He's gonna set, you know, I think this was Beast. And I can just start, you know, playing this, and then I can chain this as well, which is really good. I didn't get to use the effect of Varr. I think I chained this weird, but that's fine. It's not really a big deal. He's going to attempt to use Schism. I'm going to Ash this, right? Only 2 cards in his hand. I have, like, insane follow-up right now. Last card in hand was Shaddoll Fusion, but I don't control any extra deck monsters, thankfully. So that kind of worked out for the best. I think he had Aerial, and, you know, banishing these, I guess this kind of stings, but at this point I don't need to search anymore. I don't know. I mean, I guess my boss stage is offline, but this is where this card really comes in and looks really good, right? I just have to send any of these cards to the graveyard. It can be any Generaider monster or a Garda, and then I can just bring something back. I can normal summon, you know, go into Enter Bathnir. He's going to chain. He's going to try to go into Schism. I'll just banish it because I would have to go on a new chain. This can't be destroyed by battle, but it's like, it's so fun. Like, literally every single turn, I'm getting a new rank 9 on the board that applies so much pressure to my opponent. So all of this without boss stage really showcases, like, all of this new support. He goes into another app clone, tries to chain this, but that's not really how that works. And then I can go into... Let's see here. Oh, this is my turn. I did all that during my opponent's turn. Enter Bathnir is going to banish the, you know, the trap, and I can go into the new one, grab those 2 bodies that cannot be destroyed by battle, and, you know, that's just game, which is really, really cool that that's even possible. What else? This is against Bestial Sword Soul, so kind of a modern deck. Sword Soul's kind of fallen off a little bit. Power creep is crazy. Definitely got to play Terraforming, right? Deck doesn't function without boss stage. Lone Fire into Lone Fire. Seeing this in your hand is kind of unfortunate, but it's fine. It's good follow-up, you know. I have Ash. I have Imperm. I think I'll be A-okay. And the cool thing is I already have the field spell, so now I can search this. This is kind of the only other good card to search in the deck, you know, that isn't the field spell. When your opponent, like, if they try to Ash it, the effect becomes draw 1, so it doesn't stop it, which is great. So I have an Omni Negate. I got plenty of interruption. I have a lot of follow-up, too, which is most important. And if my opponent tries to, you know, stop these, then I'm in good shape. He's going to bring out... I didn't know if he was playing Albaz or what. So he's going to try to activate Moyi. Of course, I'm just going to go ahead and negate that, probably with Imperm. Now I only have to worry about really, like, one other one. You know, Vishuda is only online after a card... or only when there's a non-effect monster. He's going to get rid of Harr, but it's like he's doing all this work to get rid of, like, one body in my hand. I'm just going to go ahead and negate there so he doesn't have any follow-up. I can't really get over anything at that point. Oh, no. Like, I have no board, but, yeah. What will I do? Well, I'm just going to normal summon this in combo. Not combo, but just, like, be way ahead of my opponent. You know, this isn't going to be destroyed by battle. Like, again, that new card is kind of crazy. You know, I can just bring this back, get myself a little bit of advantage. Like, most importantly, you know, I'm going to detach here, like, both of these materials. This is going to be my graveyard. And I brought this back so I can search the field spell. It's got to get rid of a Generaider card in your hand. I also had, you know, the Boss of Ice, but free cards are good. You know, maybe I'll get rid of my field spell at some point this turn. You never know. So I can go ahead and attack directly. And then, you know, boss stage activates every single turn, you know, during my opponent's turn, which is so good. I'm going to bring this out. And that can come onto the field, and I can bring out these tokens. I can't go into Harr, it's banished. I thought that was kind of like my mistake, but this card's actually really good against Sword Soul. If he tries to synchro summon, it's like, no, you're not actually going to do that. And that was just kind of it. And now boss stage looks really good in my hand, right? You know, during my opponent's turn, I go into, like, whatever, you know, send those to the graveyard, bring back, summon back something from the graveyard, just keep going over and over again. It's crazy how much better this deck is. It's, like, almost unrecognizable. And this is against Umi. And this is kind of justification, I guess, in my mind for playing. This is, like, a really short replay. But, like, the normal engine for Generators, like, it just isn't good. You know, going second. Like, none of the cards are going second cards. So that's where, like, Nadir Servant. Yes, you could run more hand traps, but, like, think about how much more, like, versatile, like, Nadir Servant is compared to everything else, you know. And Fleur-de-Lis is kind of like a good like going second card. Like I wouldn't be able to play, like straight up would not be able to play this duel if it wasn't for Natty or Servant. He's gonna get rid of that body. Well, then I was like, okay, all right, let me play. Haven't done anything yet, you know. World Legacy, I can just use this for next turn. You know, I'm locked out of the extra deck, and again, that's kind of where the unfortunate part comes in. But no big deal. I think I ended up. Oh no, I didn't have to mess up anything, right? That's just like game. Like I was almost like there for lethal, and my opponent just couldn't do anything after that. And I could have gone into the Varr. You know, getting those out of the deck is never a bad thing. Varr can bring back Harr and all those kinds of things. So many cool things that you can do. But that's just why I like to play that engine. What better deck to display, you know, non-targeting attachment with the new XYZ, you know, than this card? And you get to play stuff like Garua, which is great. Like, you get 2 draws every single turn, like the way that I play this deck. And maybe it's as simple as, like, taking out the ritual monster. I'm not sure. It's just such a good card. You know, it's like, add your servant equals so much interruption. If you send, you know, Herald of, what is it called? Arclight to the graveyard. All right, it searches the monster, and then it searches the ritual. But yeah, I get to send all these good. I get to send so much good stuff to the graveyard. I think when I drew into White Zoa. So eventually, when I went into Maximus, you know, I had the search there. Now my board's full. I'm not gonna really be able to do anything with it this turn, but like I have crazy follow up. You know, in the graveyard, I have at least an interruption with Wind Pegasus. That's going to be able to shuffle something back. I have White Zoa. I have Imperm. If he gets rid of one of my monsters, you know, Fleur-de-Lis will probably be online. And we'll see what Unchained does, right? Anytime you destroy these things by battle or card effect, it's not good. I can, you know, being able to send something like Garua, it's just so good during your opponent's turn, right? I get to take something out of their extra deck, so I think I took out, yeah, Underworld Goddess. He doesn't have that out to a bunch of these cards, you know. And this looks kind of like my more final build. Like, I have a lot of cards dedicated to Dogmatica and the extra. And I think it's really worth it. So it's like, okay, my opponent didn't beat me. So, like, he loses. And, like, that's the main way to get out of this. Like, White Zoa, again, restricts you from summoning while it's on the board. And this looks kind of bad, but it's like, I have World Legacy Monstrosity. He's going to have, like, 2 cards in his hand. But I'm going to have a lot of interruption for that. He has the Dark Sanctuary fields, but I think he is actually trying to play this Spirit board, but, you know, good for him. But he's mostly playing, I wish he'd, like, if he was just playing Unchained, he'd be in such a better place. That brings it out, but it's negated. You just got to chain this correctly, right? So I'm going to bring out all these bodies. I have tons of interruption during my opponent's turn, especially for Link summoning, which is just really bad for him. And I'm just going to go ahead and banish there. He's not going to be able to use that. I think he has to target it, so he just kind of loses his target. He's going to normal summon there. He's going to go into battle himself, but is that, like, really doing anything? I don't think so. That does get destroyed, but that's fine. Everything's in rotation now because of this new card. So I'm going to get around that, you know, destruction thing. He's not going to be able to draw anything there. And then I can attach a card here. I drew a card so I can go into, you know, one of my Generator monsters. I think this was when I was... Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of running out of bodies. Like, you can't run too many Generator monsters because they are kind of like... It's not really something you want to see in your hand. You know, it's like very... Everything's like accessible now, but yeah, I run like 2 Varr and then 1 of all of the other ones that are kind of useful. Just kind of grabbing all these bodies, you know, bringing these out from the deck. Can't hurt. Really, this is a deck that you could play a pot of... what's it called? I can't think of the one that shuffles 5 monsters from the graveyard and you get to draw 2. It's probably like a good option, right? If you go into Lone Fire, like there's definitely hands where it would be usable turn 1, but normally you have to wait for that turn 2 setup. And maybe that's a little too slow, I'm not sure, but I'm going to get rid of the field spell. I think, I'm like, the only thing that stops me from winning this duel is if this guy has a hand trap that is battle phase effect, but it was. That's just kind of whatever. You know, just kind of going through all of his resources here. He gets to add something back to his hand. I think it's the battle phase effect one. Unbelievable. But I still get something from the graveyard. He's going to bring something back. But again, I think it's negated, so it doesn't really have anything too good. I could bring this out from the deck. You know, I think finally my Varr is online next turn, which is really good. I drew into boss stage. I have 2 effect balers too. Like, we're in very different situations, right? This is an 8,000 attack or 7,000 attack body, and it's to the point where like every time he draws with Eternity, he just have to give it to me. So I'm just like, at that point, I'm just taking cards. You know, he's kind of in this weird loop where he doesn't really have anything to do. But Enter Bathir puts a lot of pressure on your opponent every single turn. You know, it's really not too shabby. Okay, so let's just go through all the other ones real quick. I think this is against like Cyber Dragons or something. 2 Ash, Effect Veiler, Lone Fire Blossom is like a combo starter by itself. It's kind of like the poster child of a good combo starter here. So, and then this is going to bring out the Plant Generator, which is going to give me the field spell. This is going to be like a really good turn 1 setup. And it snowballs. If your opponent doesn't deal with the issue during their turn, like, it's almost becomes insurmountable. Yeah, and that's why I like to play this, right? Just because, you know, White Knight of Dogmatic is like a objectively good card. Because Dogmatic of Calamity sends Titanclad, which gives you interruption during your opponent's turn. You know, I can go for Ecclesia, the virtuous one. I can search me Fleur. And then during my opponent's turn, you know, I bring out Harr, which is really great. Because Harr, you know, can tribute spellcaster monsters. So that's another way to get rid of this. And normally you only want to use this for probably 1 turn, but being able to get rid of your opponent's extra deck monsters is obviously like very beneficial. I don't want him to search with Therion, so I'd rather keep everything in front of me at this point. I don't even know where this comes from. He's going to send a couple cards to the graveyard. That's fine. I think I forced him to discard there with Harr. Hertz is going to search Cyber Dragon. I don't have any machine monsters. It's not really something in the deck, so it's only so impactful with 2100 attack. I'm just going to use Effect Veiler there on the Cyber Dragon core. I don't think I've even used Ash yet. He goes for Seeger. I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, take a look at his extra deck. I'll get rid of Degirsu, and I can also send my own Elder Entity Nis, and I am off to the races here. Sometimes I overthink, and I'm like, oh, I got to normal summon Fleur-de-Lis, you know, like I gotta have everything online. I gotta go into the extra deck, but in reality, it's like, no, I can just kind of like chill at this point. Tries to Ash it. I do have the answer finally with boss stage, but another interruption. You know, Flair's not online, but I can negate one of his summons. And Cyber Eleton. Okay, yeah, sorry, buddy. That's just a normal summon. And I do have an Omni negate, so maybe I should have gotten rid of White Knight of Dogmatica. Maybe that would have been a better choice. But I can just like normal summon this, you know, bring back one. And then during my opponent's turn, I bring out another one. It's good. Okay. This is against Dark Magician. Yeah, it's like, kind of seeing these 2 cards in your hand, but you get so many of your plays started. Okay, he goes for Dark Magician. He's going to draw a couple cards. He's going to go for the Dark Magicians. I think this card is so expensive for no reason. Apprentice Illusion Magician. I think this card's like super outdated. I think there's too many good cards to go into. Like, I think at that point, if you're going to run a deck like this and go for Magicianalized Fusion, like, this card should just be, you know, the branded Fusion. It sends it to the graveyard all the same. And it lets you go into, like, well, you guys saw that. If you guys didn't see that video, I did a Dark Magician video with Fallen of Albaz. It was really good. So he does control a monster from the extra deck, so I can just, you know, freely get this out. Fleur is online now, which is always a good thing. I think I didn't go into all my Lone Fires, but that's fine. I don't know if that is. I'll just take what I can get. If he allows this to go through once, you know, with an established board, you know, let me go ahead and do that. He's going to go for Illusion Magic. Okay. You know, he's not going to be able to draw there. I don't mind getting over this. You know, what is Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl doing with an empty board on his, you know, for him? Because I'm going to have, like, crazy follow-up here. I'm just going to crash there because I want to get that extra zone open for all my monsters. Boss stage triggers. I remember one time I was playing, I was like, where's the proof that boss stage triggers during my draw phase? I'm like, just read the card, you know? That usually helps. I don't want to, like, again, I'd rather just keep everything in front of me. Like, this is one of those decks where you can afford to do that, really. He's going to try to use the Bestial. I'm just going to go ahead and negate that because, you know, if it goes onto the field and off, he's going to get rid of Harr anyways. It does nothing in the graveyard. I can just normal summon, go into Varr. Varr is going to bring something back. This has an effect that when it's like attacked, it does something, but it's like, okay, well, I do have a new XYZ. I'm just going to go ahead and take those. DD Crow does nothing against that. That effect has already gone through. So we're going to draw a couple cards. He's going to have to give it to me. And then during his turn, he's not going to have like any cards in his hand. Unless he plays it exactly right. You know, he's going to draw one, and then I can activate the Generaider boss of eternity. Let's start there. And then he's going to have to discard the other one, right? If he has 2 monsters in his hand, he's going to have no cards in his hand. And that's the loop kind of just goes on and on and on. But I won anyways. I didn't even come to that. I just thought that was kind of funny. Just a couple more. Very fun deck. This is a good opening, right? Like before, seeing this in your hand is like almost an auto loss, but this card just pieces everything else together. And we'll see what my opponent is playing. This is, again, kind of the focal point of the deck. I can't wait for there to be a better card. Again, if there's ever a counter trap, it's over. It is totally over. I can bring back a Garda, and then I can just, you know, none of these are doing anything at that point. So quick effect during my opponent's turn, I'm going to be able to take 2 of his monsters. And then I still have my White Knight set up there. And that's very good. And then, of course, boss stage will also trigger during my opponent's turn. So Harr is going to come out from the deck. Looking good. Bring out a couple tokens. Need to get these Generaider tokens. They're looking fly, so definitely on my list. I think he's playing Magical Musketeers. That's right. He's not gonna be able to get the effect. I'm just gonna go ahead and banish there. Boop. See you later. Didn't even use White Knight. Didn't use like the 2 grabs from anybody. Quick effect. Still had Ash. Still had Fleur. You know, just more interaction my opponent would probably ever be able to, you know, deal with realistically. And the great thing is, like, if my opponent started with Dark Ruin or more. And then whenever he activates, you know, I can go for Harr and get rid of those tokens. That way my Fleur is online and I still had Ash. So it would have been a pretty evenly spread out board. You know, these are 2 pretty decent forms of interruption, like worst case scenario. I think this is the last one. We'll see. Yes. Pot of Prosperity kind of brings this hand all together. Like I either need to find Lone Fire Blossom or, you know, the one that can normal summon. So many things. And I started off my turn with Natier's Servant, you know, just getting all of these cards out of my deck. It's a good place to start. Gonna get rid of that orange or that Arclight. I can draw an extra card there. And oh, I think the draw card actually hurt me there because yeah, you can't draw cards. That was kind of like a misplay by me, but my misplay is still decent because I have White Zoa, I have Imperm, and I have Interruption in my graveyard. He's playing Dark World, but I feel like I can get rid of some like really important things from his extra deck. You know, with White Knight. I just have to play this correctly. He ended up popping Maximus, but that's fine. I can just keep waiting and waiting and waiting. He's going to go for Cerberus. I'm just going to go ahead and negate that, right? I just want to keep this online until when I want to use it. You know, I'm going to get rid of his Baguska, so he can't really out my board, like, at all. Still had a couple other forms of interruption and a lot of follow-up. So I played that. Again, I probably should have gone for Pot of Prosperity to find something. That way my turn would have been accelerated a lot more. But, you know, I think that you can't complain too much. Just being able to just chip away at your opponent's extra deck every single turn, while you get advantage during your opponent's turn, and then you get access to cards like World Legacy, like I've been talking about. It's a pretty decent setup. So let me know what you guys think about this deck in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I will see you guys next time.